to all the creatures of the night, all the Talking Taker fans out there. This is episode 3 of Talking Taker, the only podcast, as far as we know, exploring the career of the dead man. We are overanalyzing and diving deep into the career of one wrestler, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, the greatest WWE performer of all time, exploring his career match by match through all his pay-per-view matches over a 27-year career. My name's Alex Doriot, alongside my tag team partner, Travis White. How you doing, Travis?
I'm great, man. How are you today?
Good, buddy. Good to see you. And
you too.
We're only on the 3rd episode, and man, we're already at the Undertaker's first WWF Championship opportunity, man.
Craziness. I know. It's crazy to look back and see. They had, like we keep saying, they had big plans for him, and you can tell because right here, 3rd episode, 3rd match on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Just a year before this, he was Mean Mark in WCW. And 1 year later, literally 1 year later, he's main eventing for the WWF Championship at Survivor Series. And spoiler alert, winning his first WWF Championship, too. I mean, we've seen a few rises like this. It's not, like, completely uncommon. I mean, we've seen shorter rises to the top. I think Yokozuna, Brock Lesnar.
Kurt Angle, but
still not a very common thing, and those are all pretty legendary names, too. We've also seen a guy like Sheamus. He came in and got the WWF Championship right off the bat.
No one's doing a Sheamus podcast, notice.
Not yet.
Yet.
That's our next project.
Oh, man, I will not be your co-host for that one.
Too many limes.
Oh, anyway.
AJ Styles even, obviously he had a long career before that, but just 8 or 9 months in, he was WWF champion as well, WWE champion. Been watching too much WWF.
We gotta watch our letters, pardon our Fs.
Yeah. I mean, before we even get into this match, which is Survivor Series 1991, against
the Gravest Challenge.
The Gravest Challenge. This is the Gravest podcast, I guess, right here.
This one is.
Have you seen any major changes or development? We've only got to watch one other match. He's not on SummerSlam 1991. Doesn't wrestle on that card, so we haven't seen much of them. But just watching this match and the other 2 matches, have you seen him grow? Have you seen him change as a performer? What's different in the past year that we've seen?
Well, literally something different is he has a tattoo on his arm now. His right arm, and they actually point that out during the match.
Yeah, they make a big note of that.
Of, drum roll please, the Grim Reaper on the right arm. So, and I actually went back and watched the other matches, and even watched some Monday Night Raw matches to see, or not Monday Night Raw, it was no Raw. Watched some, what are the shows called?
Superstars.
Yeah, watched some of those to see when he got it. I'm not sure when he got it, but it was at least since the last pay-per-view we watched. So, anyway, that literally is something different about him. But I feel like, as much as he was in character a year ago, in episode 1 of this, Survivor Series 90, he's even more in it now. He's living it up. He is the Undertaker. He has his eye rolls. He has his down on one knee, put your hand up, the power of the urn. Paul Bear is even more all in than he was when we talked about it on episode 2. He's just, it's all just come along. It's so great. He's still in character. He's always in character in the ring. He just seems to be really living it up and doing a great job doing it. So,
can we talk about the eye rolls for a second? I mean, amazing.
Yeah. I tried it all the time. I can't do it.
Oh yeah, as a kid, I was always trying it. I would ask my mom how he did it, and it's just
me too.
I still don't know.
I can't do it. I have no idea how to do it. It hurts my head when I try. So I don't know how he does it all the time.
I mean, that just showed. We've talked a little bit about just kind of the luck that came in with this guy getting this character, and I don't know what the percentage of people that can do that eye roll are, but just that this guy that has that unique talent would also be playing this character and be able to use that as part of his dynamic, and just another thing that just adds to the mystique, the presence, the aura of the Undertaker. Really, really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what are the odds of him having that gene or whatever it is that he can actually do that. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, before the match starts, we do get, and it is Survivor Series 91. You find it on the WWE Network and all that good stuff. You get a little bit of...
From the Joe Louis Arena, which I think WWE just closed down.
Oh, yeah.
They were the last show in it, just like last week or 2 weeks ago or something, so that was just kind of timely. You know, a lot of things are lining up for us timely-wise. It's neat, so.
Pretty historic.
Yeah, Joe Louis Arena, so.
Not a particularly great Survivor Series, I don't think, compared to the year before. There's just... I didn't write down all the matches, but I watched a little bit of the pay-per-view, and just not the same star power, not the same stacked card as the year before. And this was actually the first time the WWF Championship ever defended at the Survivor Series. First singles match they'd ever had.
A commentary pointed that out several times. We made a big deal about it, how it's it was a big deal for this match to be on the card. So that's kind of neat too. Which I think again goes to show Vince McMahon's faith in the Undertaker. And how he, it's never been done before. He's going to put a World Heavyweight Championship spot on the card for him. Yeah. And again, we talked, you led up with about him winning his title just a year. He doesn't win it off some chump, It's Hulk Hogan.
It's Hulk Hogan.
Mr. Mr. WWF, Hulk Hogan. Hulkamania's been running wild for how many years now at this point? 7? Because he won the title in 84, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then, but WrestleMania was 85, so, it's been 6 or 7 years, He's been the man, so, kind of cool.
Very cool. And they show a little bit of the backstory beforehand. I can't really, I wasn't quite following wrestling religiously back then, so I don't know exactly how Undertaker got the title match. I couldn't really, I think they just, we had pay-per-view and they just said he's the number one contender. I don't think there was a big thing that made him the number one contender. Did you find, I didn't find anything.
I couldn't, I was going back and watching some stuff. I could never find a number one contender match or, a contract signing or any big thing, but it just, he's a pawn in the Ric Flair Hulk Hogan storyline, basically.
Right.
Ric Flair had just come in, I think it was September.
Yeah.
He just left the NWA and come to WWF, which was a huge deal.
Oh, mind-blowing. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is supposed to be the main event of WrestleMania 8, right? I mean, that was...
Yeah, those original plans, and then the story is that it just didn't sell out, or didn't do good business at the house shows that they tried it at, and they didn't have great matches, which is... The matches are not great. They actually... I think they might have one or two of those on the network, too, the house show matches between Hogan and Flair at that time. But you definitely find them on YouTube, if nothing else. And they're not anything spectacular, so that part doesn't surprise me. But it is crazy that they didn't have a pay-per-view one-on-one match during that time. But I guess just looking at this, it just made me think of the... booking gymnastics, if you will, that went into this, because the goal is to get to Flair as the champion. That's right. What they're trying to get to. Okay, and you have Hogan as the current champion. Well, Hogan obviously doesn't want to lose to Flair, because he doesn't at any point. So you got to get the title off Hogan somehow. So he's going to lose to Undertaker, but he's not really going to lose to Undertaker because there's got to be some sort of screw job. So he loses the title, but it's disputed. He gets his rematch 5 days later, and then he gets his win back without actually winning the title, because the title is going to be stripped off of him because it's another screwy finish. So that then the title can be upheld and put in a Royal Rumble so Flair can lose. So all this has to go into play.
Yeah.
Because Hogan doesn't want to lose to Ric Flair.
Exactly.
It's so ridiculous.
Creative control, brother. So, but yeah, again, I said that Undertaker's a pawn in that story. I don't mean to diminish his title win. It's huge. Again, they had to pick somebody to get a title off of Hogan, and like you said, so Vince saw Undertaker as the man, which is awesome. And
it's a transitional championship, but it's a huge deal. It still meant a lot. Still means a lot now, but it really, really meant a lot back then.
Sure. Sure, absolutely. And he only held it for 6 days. We'll get into that on the next podcast. But anyway,
I mean, like,
yeah.
A guy like Iron Sheik held the title for like a handful of days, and he made a Hall of Fame career off of just being a transitional champ from Bob Backlund to Hulk Hogan just for a few days or a few weeks or something. So it was, even if this was going to be the Undertaker's only title win, which it wasn't, but even if it was, he could have made a whole career off of just having the title for 5 days, you know?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Something big like that.
Sure, good. So, you were saying we were start out with this pay-per-view, or this match with it was from Superstars 2 weeks before, right?
I think so.
What was that show called? The little interview segment called?
The Funeral Parlor.
Funeral Parlor, that's right, yeah.
Paul Bear, yeah.
Yeah. So...
The Miz TV of its day.
The precursor to Miz TV.
Sure.
It was much better because they had an actual elaborate set and everything. They put a lot of money into that, man.
Yeah.
That's another thing. We're talking about, you know, Vince clearly sees money in this guy because he's putting money in the funeral parlor. You know, he has the coffins there, the flowers, I think, and candles and stuff. I mean, it's crazy. But basically, it's just a Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair interview. And from out behind Hulk Hogan comes the Undertaker out of a coffin, and he hits him with the urn. And then, who was it rushes over? I believe it's Roddy Piper. And Savage. And they do it, and this is also the precursor to the concerto that Edge and Christian would then apparently steal from Roddy Piper and Randy Savage. They hit Taker with a concerto. Did you notice that?
I didn't pick up on that, but that's true. Yeah, now that I think about it.
That's what he did. No sell. It was great. No sells it. Rips the crucifix off of Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, and then leaves it on his chest. That man.
Stole that from
that in 2017.
Oh no, you wouldn't see that. Kind of stole it from Andre and Hogan. Andre did that back when they were feuding, but I loved it, man. That's just so great and so devastating and so simple and symbolic, but really really cool. That's all you needed to do to sell it.
Yeah, that's
so basic. I have to say, they were doing the gimmick where Flair had the old world title, but they didn't want to show it on TV, so they had it censored. But they had it censored so much, it just looked like Flair was naked when he opened his robe up. It covered up, the censored part covered up his tights. So it was just...
Looks like Flair's flashing people. That's his new gimmick.
That's totally in character for him.
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't be...
It made sense.
Thoughts and prayers with Ric Flair, actually, by the way. He's doing well, better now. But yeah, back then he seemed like he was just the slasher guy. You're right, because it's so pixelated. I guess the pixels weren't as easy to... You had to choose a large section of the TV to pixelate back then, I guess, in 91. So.
Yeah,
I noticed that too.
So yeah, that's all you needed to sell this match. A few promos and put that out there, and you got a main event right here. It comes on in the middle of the card, so I guess if you were a smart fan back then, you probably had a notion that something was up here for the championship to be on the line in the middle of the card. Hogan and Undertaker don't do any promos or anything. Hogan's not looking real excited to be there, so you can kind of get the idea if you're reading into it that maybe he wasn't too happy about losing here. But Undertaker also, first time he's in the wet hair club, as my wife Kate likes to call it here. His hair is soaking wet as he comes out. Yeah, it wasn't like that.
Female notice that, yeah.
Oh yeah. She loves
hair club.
She loves to talk about that with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. So.
Roman Reigns has phenomenal hair when he comes out. He looks great. I don't think his hair can dry.
No.
Anyway, it's not about him.
I've never seen it dry. But he likes to make everything about The Undertaker, so.
That is true. It's his yard. Well,
yeah.
The yard started here, right? At SummerSlam, or not SummerSlam, Survivor Series 1991. But I was saying, as that video from 2 weeks ago goes off, it immediately starts with the Undertaker's intro, and there's a little kid in the audience, and he is like, his eyes are bulging.
Yeah.
He is like, he looks a little bit scared. I mean, the last image he sees is this guy ripping a crucifix off of the Immortal Hulk Hogan, you know. So yeah, it goes right into that, and Undertaker just walks to the ring like he always is. Great. Paul Bear is totally in character, like all his noises and. Did you notice when Hogan comes out and the crowd is electric for him?
Oh, yeah.
What's the first thing he does?
He shoves the casket over.
Shoves the casket over. Like a heel. And I mentioned before we start recording, Hulk Hogan seems like a heel in this match and the next match that we're going to talk about. But again, it's all to get to getting the title off to him, and it's all a play into that storyline going into Royal Rumble '92. So, taking it out of context, you watch this match and you're like, "Wow, is he so popular? He's doing all kinds of dastardly things."
But I mean, he did that a lot too. And he just always got away with it just because he's Hogan. But definitely. And I think that's why the fans kind of turn on him a little bit too, just because he's almost kind of like a crybaby a little bit, and a cheater and a heel too in a lot of ways.
That's why Hollywood Hogan made such a great heel.
Exactly.
He didn't have to change much.
Exactly. So we're at the match now, and like I said, we're not really gonna go like play by play through the match, but what jumped out to you during the match? Specifically,
almost immediately from the get-go, Taker gets Hogan, gets the punches him. I can't remember what he does to him, but the camera shows Paul Bearer on the outside, and he is just rubbing his nose on the urn. And they just do, and it is awesome. He's rubbing his nose on the urn, and I love it. He's so into it. That's what makes these characters great. It's what makes Undertaker so awesome.
Yeah,
they're just really into it. And I did write down. Know that Hulk Hogan takes a powder, which is what that's an insider term for rolling under the ropes to the outside, and again, which is normally a heel move. When you're getting beat up, you roll out the ring, you stay out there. Again, that's just another heel type tactic I saw, but
he's definitely selling it like Undertaker's a big monster, and definitely his normal Hogan moves and things are not working on the Undertaker. Undertaker does like we talked about the monster choke in the corner with his eyes rolled back, like he's like he's a monster. He does
a lot of choking, a whole lot.
Yeah, it's not quite a claw. He's like smothering his mouth.
Nerve hold or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a neat little move there. You don't see that anymore.
He puts his hand across Hogan's mouth. I don't know if he pinched his nose too. I guess he would die because he can't breathe. But that would have been going off script. But yeah, it's a lot of choking and nerve hold. And this match wouldn't fly in 2017. You'd get boring chants or beach balls thrown around or the wave or whatever. But like back then, when Hogan's down on the ground and Taker's choking him, doing and looking at the urn, he's got one hand on Hogan's throat and one hand toward the urn, or one knee up and toward the urn, and getting the power from the urn. The crowd is just cheering for Hogan the whole time. It's awesome. It's really cool to see that. They're in there for him.
I had that written down too. That literally the exact same thing about beach balls in the crowd, probably during this match. But and it definitely, if you're a newer fan, if you're just a fan of the past 5 or 10 years, you go back and watch a match like this, and you're like, what is the big deal? Like why would you even watch anything like this? And it is not by any means a great match. Like we're not trying to come out here and make you believe it's a 5-star match. I mean,
now if there's a Tokyo Dome, it could have been
maybe another star or two. It's not. It's a lot of chokes and a lot of just playing to the crowd and a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. But again, it goes into the debate of what wrestling is. Is it this big athletic competition, or is it entertainment? And these two guys are just doing real basic stuff. They're not sacrificing their bodies too much. They're putting on a show. They're playing to the crowd, and it works because of the characters that they built up and the personalities and their presence and their personas and the way that they play these characters and the way that Paul Bearer is egging people on the outside and the way that Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan are selling it on commentary. It hypes the crowd into it. And the way that Hogan sells that he's being destroyed, and Hogan's the guy that they love.
He really puts Taker over here, like
huge.
Selling.
Yeah, big time.
And I'm glad you mentioned commentary, because I got a couple things I wrote down about that. One point, he's choking, Undertaker's choking Hogan, and he's got his eyes rolled back, and Heenan says, "Look at that, Monsoon. He has no eyeballs." He has no eyeballs. Monsoon's like, "Yeah, I've never seen him perspire." So
they said that again too.
Yeah, he said it again. But then also, it cannot be understated how amazing Bobby Heenan was. as a heel commentator, because literally every time that Hogan is being choked or that Paul Bearer is interfering and drawing the referee's attention, Heenan says, "Oh, my monitor just went out. My monitor's gone out." Guerrero's like, he's just like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, my monitor went out. You didn't see him cheating?" And he just, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." It's just, Bobby Heenan is so good.
It's a lost art. It really is.
But he makes that, he makes the match better because he gets the extra heat on Taker, even if you like him and you enjoy his power moves and the fact he never takes a bump and stuff and how mesmerizing he is, you're like, wow, he's right. He's cheating a lot, so it's really cool to see that.
My favorite commentary moment, Paul Bearer chokes Hulk Hogan at one point, and like Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan are talking, and all of a sudden Gorilla Monsoon just goes, "You piece of garbage!" Just at Paul Bearer. He just no objectivity at all. Just hates this guy.
But so I'm sure this was in Hulk Hogan's contract for the match or something, because he gets Tombstone, and what does he do? He hops right up. Now that's not to just diminish how much he is putting Taker over here, but this is part of the Hulk Hogan shtick. He gets a Tombstone, which is put down everybody at this point, and he gets right up, and the crowd.
Can you believe that, man?
Blows up. Yeah. The crowd blows up. It is so cool again to see that. But
that's probably the only time that's ever happened. We may see it again in something else, but I can't imagine any other time where someone would just no-sell the Tombstone.
Right, exactly. Oh, yeah. Especially later on in his career, he'd probably taken the wrestler's cord for that.
Oh, yeah.
But again, as we've mentioned the last few matches, Undertaker never really goes down. He gets down to one knee at one point. And then this is the point in the match after Hulk no-sells to Tombstone. He's doing his Hulk up, his comeback. He's trying to do his big boot and stuff. And this is when Ric Flair walks out. Very slow. I don't know if he's supposed to be there. So I think at this point, Hogan does have him take her down on the mat for 1 second. I think he finally gets him down. I can't remember if he's on his back all the way.
Does he slam him in this one? Does he slam him in this match or just in the next match?
That should be the next match.
Okay. So, I know he tried to slam him, but I couldn't remember if he did.
Yeah. So this is when Ric Flair walks out, and then Hulk Hogan probably could have won the match here, done the big boot and the leg drop, but he just rolls out. And again, Ric Flair is not on the apron. He's not interfering at all. Hulk Hogan, the babyface, runs out and just beats him up completely unprovoked. And even Bobby Heenan's like, he just did that, he's unprovoked. And he calls him out on it. Again, it's another heel tactic by Hulk Hogan here. But again, the crowd loves it because Ric Flair was the ultimate heel in this situation. So, and then Paul Bearer causes the distraction, and then Ric Flair grabs the chair. And how's his Tombstone look?
Well, we talked the other 2 episodes about real sloppy tombstones and nearly killing Jimmy Snuka and Coco Beware and slamming them on the heads. And I guess Hulk Hogan let him know that wasn't going to fly in this match.
You better let me 6 inches above the mat, brother.
Easily 6 inches above. But Tombstone's him on the chair, air quotations right there.
Air quotes on the chair. Storyline on the chair, right? And that's going to keep Hulk Hogan down. 1, 2, 3.
Huge pop for the title change, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because back then, I guess on pay-per-view you'd have title changes, but still, at this point, Hulk Hogan had been champion for a while. I can't remember.
Since WrestleMania. He beat Sergeant Slaughter at WrestleMania.
That's right.
But like you said, Undertaker is a rookie still. It's just 1 year in. People were not expecting a title change at all at this moment. Huge pop for that. For a title change, and because, like we're going to see, the crowd is definitely getting behind Undertaker, too. Yeah. So.
And I will give Hulk Hogan a lot of credit here. He does sell the Tombstone on the chair. Even though he missed Country Mile, he stays on the ground. He's selling it really well. He takes forever to get up. He has to be helped out even by the refs and stuff. So that was really cool to see, too. He didn't just, pop up and fuss at the ref and what happened, 1, 2, 3, where was that, So, in my opinion, there's also a mixed reaction as he walks out. Yeah. Kind of gaze and boos as Hogan starts to leave. So.
And there were from what I've seen and heard before, there were a lot of rumors then if Undertaker really did hurt Hogan doing that, and because of how he sold it, and because Tyler Reign was so short and all this other stuff.
Right.
But there's no way Hogan's head doesn't come anywhere near the mat. There's no way any of that could possibly be true. So
could have laid 10 chairs on top of each other and he wouldn't hit him. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't understand is Ric Flair's logic here, because Ric Flair, he's claiming to be the real world's champion, so he has his belt, but he wants to win the WWF Championship.
Right.
So he helps Undertaker win. Wouldn't Ric Flair, wouldn't he be more afraid of the Undertaker than he would be of Hulk Hogan? I don't quite get
so. Yeah, you'd think that would be the case, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Guess not. I guess Hulk Hogan's the immortal one. Undertaker's, I don't know what. He might have been immortal at this point. We don't know. So, he wasn't quite the Phenom, or, the WrestleMania streak wasn't there yet. So
yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, you're right. Storyline-wise, you think, I don't want to fight this dead guy. But I don't know. Maybe he's going to pay him off or something.
Maybe so. Yeah. Little Macho Man. $1 Million Man situation.
$1 Million Man style. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
that wraps up that match, and it's a title win for Undertaker, but he doesn't celebrate like he won his first title. Like, he doesn't Shawn Michaels' boyhood dream get down and cry, or he doesn't hug it. He doesn't clutch onto it, rub his nose on it like Paul Bearer would have.
Stays in character.
Doesn't do anything. He just carries it.
Yeah.
Out. Doesn't put it on his waist or over his shoulder. He just carries it out nonchalantly, which the Undertaker would do.
Yeah.
That character would do that. He
totally
doesn't.
in character.
Exactly, which is just testament to Mark, Calloway, and how he did that gimmick so well. Because, I'm not sure in that moment other people may have, slipped out of the character and gone to, their real feelings and let it come out, like Sasha Banks does every time she wins a title.
Burn.
I
said burn.
Oh, I love Sasha, but anyway. So yeah, he carries it like the Undertaker would, which is so cool to see. I mean, it was noteworthy to me. I thought it was.
Yeah, no, definitely. And there's, like I said, it's the middle of the show, so the show goes on afterward. There is an Undertaker promo afterward, but we're gonna get to that on the next episode. But Ric Flair has a promo afterward. I don't know if you saw that, where he is ranting and raving. And he looks like he's about to have a heart attack during this promo. Man, he is screaming at the top of his lungs. His neck is all just like veins popping out of his neck. It's just a great Flair promo afterwards, just talking about how much he hates Hulk Hogan and all this stuff. That's worth watching, too.
I think he's like 43 at this point, too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Which means Hogan's like, what? Hogan's like 3 years behind him, I think, maybe. So Hogan's right around 40, so... It's weird to think about,
But, like, today's crop, AJ Styles is, 40?
40. Cena's
and then,
40. Yep.
Cena, Orton, Kevin Owens is getting up there. A lot of guys. I guess, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. It's just weird to think that, they're finally getting to that match that everyone dreamed about, Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan, and they're, already after their 40s, so it's kind of neat, But I did not see that promo, but I should go back and watch it.
Oh yeah, it's worth watching and finding. So the idea of this is to build up to the first ever and only ever pay-per-view called This Tuesday in Texas. So the Survivor Series.
6 days later.
Yeah, back then was held Thanksgiving week. This was on either a Tuesday or Wednesday, I guess. I think it was on Wednesday.
I think it was on Wednesday. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving Eve.
Thanksgiving Eve.
It's Thanksgiving Eve. So, which is not a thing. I'm sure Vince wanted to copyright that. Thanksgiving Eve, pal. TM.
So they build to, they're going to have, for the first time ever, another pay-per-view just a week later on a Tuesday night. It's a huge experiment, and we can talk a little bit about that experiment because it's actually... It was not a success then, but obviously pretty influential to what the business is like now. But they're going to have another pay-per-view right afterward with the rematch between Hogan and Undertaker. And then the other big selling point was the reinstation of Macho Man Randy Savage against Jake the Snake Roberts, and trying to build a pay-per-view on those two things. And It's an interesting show, and we'll get to that next week on the next episode. This was also, I don't know if you realized, but this would be the Undertaker's only title reign for the next 6 years. He won this title and would not hold it again until 1997. So
that is weird. He held it for 6 days, and he didn't get it for another. Yeah. It's like Kane. Didn't Kane get it for 1 day?
Yeah, he held it for 24 hours.
Get it till, 2010? This is even longer time.
I think that's right. Yeah, he had the ECW title there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, didn't hold the world title
until Jack Swagger.
And Matt Hardy.
Version 1. Yep.
Tommy Dreamer.
CM Punk.
Chavo Guerrero.
No, that's where Kane won it from him, right? In like 9 seconds.
Oh yeah, WrestleMania 24.
Yeah. But that's not about. There's no talking Kane. There's talking Taker.
No talking Chavo.
But Kane is going to be a huge part in the next.
I can't wait.
I can't wait to get to the Kane stuff. That's some of the most fascinating stuff. I love it. Next episode we'll be talking about this Tuesday in Texas, December 3rd, 1991. I did want to mention this match was 12 minutes and 45 seconds, I believe. So longer than the last two that we've talked about.
It's longest match yet.
Yeah, longest pay-per-view match on Undertaker is 12 minutes, which again, we know that Undertaker has to have at least 20 minutes in the last 10 years of his life. He's had to have at least like 20-minute matches.
That's true.
Is fine with me.
This match was probably shorter than some of his WrestleMania entrances.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably was. Oh, I can't wait to get to those too.
Oh yeah. And still, there's no. The lights don't go out yet.
No, he doesn't raise the lights and everything. So just as we continue this trek and our listeners come with us, it's going to be fun to go and see just when he morphs into the Undertaker that we know and love today. So, but got to start somewhere, and this is his first title reign. It is a good match, just storyline wise. It's not a 5-star classic, but it's cool. It's historical because it's Ric Flair, it's Hulk Hogan, it's the Undertaker, 3 Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers. It tells a good story here.
It does. Like we're saying, it's not, it's not gonna blow your socks off with athleticism or anything like that. But they keep you engaged, they keep you entertained, they tell a story throughout it. It's not the best Hogan match, not the best Undertaker match, but it does the job, and it gets the story across and moves the story forward without them tearing their bodies apart. They're doing more with less, and that's something to be appreciated and something to be learned from, I think. So, coming from two guys who have never wrestled before.
Exactly. Hey, we've backyard wrestled a little bit.
Oh yeah.
No. We will not touch on those matches. Oh, but also a little foreshadowing, right? 11 years later, Ric Flair will meet with The Undertaker at WrestleMania, won't he?
He will.
WrestleMania X8, I believe. So.
And we'll get to another Undertaker-Hulk Hogan match in a few years, same year, also 2002.
Yes, we
Another championship match. Yeah.
That one is much different than this one.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yes, they have aged a little bit, so we'll get to that too. But yeah, yep.
Yeah, well, thanks for listening. If you want to follow along, check out this Tuesday in Texas, Undertaker and Hulk Hogan. That'll be our next episode next week. And you can follow us at Talking Taker on Twitter, at Talking Taker. And you can follow me at Alex Doriot, AlexDoriot, on Twitter as well. And Travis is the Twitter holdout so far, so you can pass anything along to him. If you got any insight, what are your memories of this match? What are your memories watching this pay-per-view? If you remember, if we're missing anything, if we missed something during the match, or if you remember how this match came to be, something that we missed, you were watching back then, and you remember how this match actually got booked and signed and all that, let us know. We'd love to know about it, and we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love all of that. We appreciate everyone who's followed along. So we got to give a shout out to @Evans5902 on Twitter. Our first big fan right there. He shouted us out and said he'd passing on the podcast to his friends. So we definitely appreciate that, and we'll give you a shout out if you pass this on to your friends and let us know that you're listening. We'll give you a shout out here on the podcast, and we'll follow you back on Twitter as well. So once again, thank you for listening, and like I said, we'll give our thoughts and prayers to Ric Flair's family, and also definitely to everyone affected by everything that's going on in Houston. It's a real sad tragedy to watch everything going on there, and this is really trivial thing in the light of all of that. So thoughts and prayers again to everybody out involved in all that. We're thinking about you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for everything. Keep listening. Straight shoot, brother.
Straight shoot. And to everybody out there, we just want to say rest in peace. See you next time.